Cowboy Jim. What a joy, eh? Oh, gee whiz. Get my curls out there so that my sisters, who all have straight hair, will really be irritated. They're actually starting to watch a few of my videos. Well, it's remarkable when you see the result of trying to clean up your act a bit, my act a bit. My sister, that's the elder one, she just texted me and she said, "How did the biscuits turn out?" Well, I told her they're very good. Everyone that had them seemed to be quite impressed. Well, there was only one eaten and the other three put in the freezer for another day because I'm the only one here. But nonetheless, she might see this. Anyway, she says I'm hilarious. I do not think it has anything to do with my humor. She also said, and I was quite taken with it, she said, Velma would just think that's hilarious. Velma was my mom's name. Not once in my lifetime did I ever call her by her first name. I called her by the word to my mom. I don't think I ever called her once mother. You know, when I was quite young, I refused to allow my sons to call me father. The reason for that was simply this. In Scripture, it says you have one Father, your Heavenly Father. And I did not want there to be any confusion in my son's mind. And I have some chicken burrito stuff in the microwave, and it's going to make a little beeping noise. But what I insisted upon was them calling me Dad. And my boys are 46 and 48. Oldest boy should be turning 49. Well, that would mean my younger boy is 47. Well, nonetheless, far too old for a man that looks this young. I wanted to just spend a little bit of time with you and lead you through a recipe. And the recipe is that of pork chops, bone in. Very important that the bone be in. Ingredients, a fairly large package of pork chops. I like the bone in because it gives you something whereby you can hold on to the thing as you eat it. Because children, when you go to eat this, you will forego the niceties of life, and you will set aside your fork as far as the pork chops are concerned. Basically, it is this. You take as many pork chops as you can brown, and then cook them, brown them, and cut as much fat off as you can. I know. The fat, there's the flavor. But we don't need extra fat. Most of us could shed a bit of it ourselves. I don't know how to do that in my present situation. I have a little bit of fat around my middle, and but I weighed 163 pounds when I got up today. 2 cups of coffee later, I weighed 164 and 2 ounces, which is perhaps 8 ounces. 2 cups of coffee. And my scales will show that 2 cups of coffee. You don't also show when you go and make water. But for me, I am concerned about being out of shape and weighing more than I should. But I am going to start a concerted exercise program. You see, I free fell from 204 pounds when I started eating some tainted food. It was good food. I made it, but I didn't carry it in to work. And I fell from 204 pounds to 167 in about 6 weeks. And that would be about March. I went from not being fat, but a fair bit of body mass. And before I could stop that free fall, I went way below 160. And my scales quit working at 167. And it took a long time for God to enable me to get that turned around. And so I'm coming back, and I'm slowly going to get back to where I should be. Now, we take rice. We make a pot of rice, a good-sized pot, because we're going to put that in a roaster. I have to retrieve my roaster from the ranch before the ranch goes away, and it's been quite challenging to get anything from there. But I want my roaster because it's an electric fry pan roaster that I bought in 1971. It still works. It still really works. So you make a pot of rice. I use minute rice. Listen, I'm a rancher. I'm not a gourmet cook. My sons are gourmet cooks, and they're truckers, and they're ranch kids, and they exemplify toughness. But they also exemplify something else, and that is such a tender heart, both to the Lord and in the care of those that cannot care for themselves, and ladies. And so we have pork chops that are browned and cooked, extra fat cut off. I know it's a sacrifice of flavor. Who cares? I don't need it. Probably you don't need it, although we both would like it. We set those aside. We do a large pot of rice. We take that roaster that I have not gotten back yet, and we cover the bottom with Costco Kirkland oil, spray oil. And we take and cut up green peppers. We take a large package of mushrooms. And when we pull the last pork chop out of the frying pan, set that on a platter off to the side, and fry the mushrooms. And I mean really fry them. I enjoy using butter because I know now how to limit how much I eat. And I don't mind having seconds, but I won't have it for 20 minutes after the first plate is done. When I serve myself, I also want to make sure that there's not more on the plate than there need be. It takes 20 minutes for your stomach to communicate with your mind and say, oh, don't send any more food down here. We're full, and we're going to explode. Now, I enjoy a little humor. I do tend to laugh at my own jokes, Well, there's no one else here. And so, mushrooms. And in the mushrooms, I spice them. Garlic cloves, Montreal chicken spice. I mean, I put that in everything, and I cover my pork chops with it as well, and heavy coarse pepper, and a green pepper that I cut very thin, because I'm just going to put it in into the mushrooms. And then I do what First Nations people do, and that is I use a lot of mushroom soup. People don't understand. Mushroom soup is it's a wonderful thickening agent. It's a binding thing. It holds everything together. There is flavor in it, and it's not that much, but it can be worked upon and enhanced. And as far as rice, make a very, very large pot of it. Then you'll have enough for the supper, the basic main meal, and you will also be able to take the balance of the rice, a few eggs, vanilla, raisins. I happen to like raisins. They were not one of the things I was allowed to use at the ranch, but nonetheless, I use them now. And you can make yourself a really wonderful rice pudding. Don't serve it the same night that you have the pork chops and rice. Put it in the fridge for the next night. And honey. I mix a fair bit of honey, quite a bit of soya sauce, because it gives me a depth of color. And chicken burritos are calling my name. And my appetite doesn't rule my behavior. My behavior rules the appetite. It's a place to start. And if you desire, as I do, to not eat too much, pray about it. God will help you. He's probably the only one that can, other than yourself. And it's worth the effort. So I take my rather large electric pan that I am going to try to get back, and I mean it was huge. And I put about 2 inches of rice, at least, all across the whole bottom of the thing. And that one was about 16 by almost 24 inches. And I could cook my typical meal. When I cook, I cook for 6 or 8 people. And the reason I do that is, as a single man, I get to freeze my excess, extra. And it is astounding. So into that rice, I don't do this because before, when the rice is done cooking, I skim off all that I need, and then I will. I'm going to hold up on the rice pudding time constraints, and I mix my mushrooms, my green peppers, and about 4 cans of mushroom soup. And what that does is it helps bind it together. And then I will spice everything. Montreal chicken spice. It's a solution and the answer to all things edible. And dried peppers and garlic, roasted. Again, everything I buy is from Costco because it is cheaper, it is better. The quantities are as large as I cook with, and I will spice that rice and mushroom soup. And when I spice it, then I rotate it, and I spice it again, and I rotate it, and I spice it again. And then I take my mushrooms, I spread all over the top, and then I blend them in. And I take my green peppers, and by that, when I say blended in, I turn it over. I rotate it. That allows the mushroom soup to permeate, to cover the rice. And I use a little salt because the greatest bodybuilder that in the world that I have ever watched, I only have seen her on Facebook. It's no longer on Facebook. I watched every day. Her message on fear. Boy, I tell you, we come really, really close to being in total agreement. So I build my meal from the bottom up. Rice. We'll get to the rice pudding, children. You're making rice. Bake extra to make a rice pudding. It's worth it. I take my rice mushroom soup, my mushrooms, my green peppers, and my soy sauce. I lay that in there pretty hard, and of course I rotate that as well. It gives, and I also put soy sauce in the water as I'm making the rice. I put a fair bit in. Because that rice is going to then absorb that, and it's not to be taken lightly. And so my foundation is there. I take my pork chops boned in, and I cover the top of all that rice before I put the lid on and cook it for about an hour or 2 hours. I try to make my rice more wet than it should be. I use extra mushroom soup to maintain a moisture level. I don't want it to dry out very much. I don't want to reach in there and have something you have to chew when it comes time to talk about rice. It's going to be enough that you'll have fun with the pork chops. And again, my rice or my spice situation is Montreal chicken, garlic plus, roasted peppers. It is just so amazing, and garlic. And when I am all done, I have my pork chops spread around the top. I then take about half a cup of honey, and I very gently, I melt that, I warm it up in the microwave a bit, and I pour it in a concerted effort to have even coverage over all my pork chops. And then I will take that rather large roaster. I better get that one back. A little disenchanted about that. But my father is not asleep at the wheel. And I get all my mushroom soup, my mushrooms, my rice, my pork chops, cover the whole thing in liquid honey, and then spice her again. And parsley. I just like that green stuff. I just, fresh is better, sure. Hey, I'm a rancher. I'm no gourmet cook. I know what tastes good. I don't even bother tasting stuff as I'm making it. I mean, really, I just don't. I know what is going to bring the flavor together. And pepper. Thick, coarse pepper. A little salt, a little bit of that bodybuilder's solution that you gave me for cramps and for cramping. 1 potassium pill a day, 4 liters of water. I'm up to 1 it's going to take me a while to get up to 4. And then I put that on a low and put the lid on. And that's my supper prepared. Well, it's my supper prepared for tonight if I had my stupid pot. But it is also my supper prepared for, 8 to 10 people. I mean, easy. I mean, all you do is make a little extra rice if you have another 6 people. A few more pork chops, and they're already cooked, so you can kind of lay them as you would a deck of cards that are spread out. And as long as they're covered with pepper and honey. And the way I do it, I always cook for 20 odd people at the ranch, and when I would ask if people wanted to come over for supper, they surely would not necessarily have wanted to visit with me, but they sure would want to eat my cooking. So 2102, God bless, children. Christmas time, remember God. Remember the little ones who hurt. God bless you, and thank you for the honor of allowing me to be in front of you. God bless.